Hey YouTube, Olive Wood Piper here. Before I get into today's story, smoking a Savinelli Samanda, and in it some Dunhill My Mixture 965. And I gotta tell you about the 965. When I opened the tin and had my first bowl, boy, I'll tell you, it just about knocked my socks off. It was something to behold. It was a little strong. So I jarred it, and about a week later, it smokes beautifully. It's actually a very, very nice smoke. So today, I just want to talk about summers in the city. I grew up in Brooklyn. The summers were very hot. We didn't have any air conditioning. My brother and I shared a room, and our home was located about 3 blocks from a firehouse. And I can remember as a kid, all night listening to the fire engines going back and forth. And we had our windows wide open, no fan, and in fact we had to put a towel on our pillows because we would perspire so much. I don't miss those days. But here in Florida, it's been hotter than the devil lately. It's been really, really humid and hot. And it's funny, it brings me back to those days when I was a kid. Speaking of which, in the beginning of the video, you saw a couple of photos. And when we were kids, we would be outside all day in the summer. And it got hot in the summers in Brooklyn. But here in Florida, you never see any children playing. And I understand because it's very warm in the summer, but even in the winter, you hardly see any kids out playing. I think they're all in the house playing video games, which is terrible. But so the first photo that you saw was a fire hydrant. And when we were kids, it got so hot that they would come around and turn the fire hydrants on, and we were able to put our suits on and go out there and jump around in the water and play in the street and cool ourselves off. Most of us didn't have pools. They were kind of unheard of. And if you did have a pool, it was above ground. And my uncle and my cousins came to live with us after his wife unexpectedly passed away at an early age. And he had a very, very generous boss. And when his boss found out that my uncle was actually living with us and my mom was caring for his kids, the boss sent us a swimming pool. And I mean a nice swimming pool. It's, about 18 foot round, about 4 foot deep. And boy, that's where we spent the summers then. Kids in the block would come over, we'd all go in the pool. We had a great time, the family. But anyway, the other photo you saw in there was that of a stoop. And some people may not know what a stoop is, but in the city, you typically had stairs going up to your home. And we would use the stoop for a couple of things. First, it was a social gathering spot where in the evening after dinner, a lot of the neighbor, particularly the neighbor men, would get together to chat. And they'd sit on a stoop. We also used the stoop to play stoop ball. And you would actually get a Spalding ball or a Pensy Pinky or whatever you want to call it. It was a rubber ball. And you'd throw it at the stoop. And the opponent had to catch the ball. And if he did, you were out. You had 3 outs. And you could get fly balls and you can get grounders. So it was kind of fun. The other thing we played was what we called Johnny on the Pony. And how that worked was you get a bunch of kids, and unfortunately, one guy was assigned to be the pillow. So he had to lean against a wall or some other structure, and the rest of the team would bend down, put their head against his belly, and then one behind the other, we would line up with our heads to the side. And the opposing team had to run, jump in the air, and jump as far as they could to the front where the kid was who was leaning against the wall. The objective was for all of the kids to get on the so-called pony, which was a bunch of kids latched together. And if you can stay on there, you had to yell, "Johnny on the pony, 1, 2, 3," and you had to say that several times. In the meanwhile, you could jump and you could do all kinds of things to try and break the back of the pony. We had more black eyes and bloody noses than I can remember doing that. Just running and sometimes leaping onto the guys that were together, and somebody would have their head to the side and would catch a knee in the face. But we did that, and we're still alive. The last thing we did was we played stickball, and we didn't have parks to speak of. Our park was an asphalt street in front of our home. And if you look at the video, the photo I put in there is clearly one of kids playing in the street, and you see the cars lined up on both sides. And we would play from sewer to sewer, and we had our own rules. And you were allowed to bounce the ball into the batter, and we could put spin on it, and you could stop it, and you'd do all kinds of stuff. Problem is, when we hit the ball, we never knew where the hell it was going to go. So sometimes it would go to the right into a neighbor's house, to the left into a neighbor's house. I don't recall we broke any windows, but we certainly lost quite a few balls. But that's the way we spent a big part of our day. Just playing in the street, hanging out, not worrying about anything. We never had to worry about somebody coming and snatching us out of the street. It was a different world then. And sometimes I wonder if those things did occur, but for some reason, because we don't have the social media that we have today, maybe we weren't informed about it as frequently as we are today. But we really had a great childhood. We really enjoyed ourselves, and the summers in the city were very, very hot, very hot. But they were fun as well, and we had no video games to speak of. I did have a game when I was a young kid. I don't know if any of you ever had it, but it was called Winky Dink, and it was a TV show about this cartoon character and named Winky Dink, and he had various adventures. And what you would do was put this plastic screen or plastic cover on the TV screen, and then you had markers, and so they would say, draw Winky Dink a boat, and you'd have to draw him a boat because he had to get from one place to the other. And or Winky Dink needs a rope to climb a tree. So you would draw the object that they were asking about. Well, unfortunately, one day I was playing Winky Dink, and in my I guess excitement to get to the program before it started, I neglected to put the plastic screen on the TV. So as the program began, I started drawing on the TV, whatever I was asked to draw. Unfortunately, I was drawing it right on the regular screen on the TV. That really went over well with my dad. But fortunately, I think the markers were not toxic and they came off. So, but it was an interesting program. But I just wanted to check in. I had a busy week, so I really didn't get a chance to do a video earlier. So I just wanted to get one in quickly and say hello. And as always, I wish you health and happiness to you and yours. And thanks so much for watching me. I appreciate it. Bye.